The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Welcome to the bonus show. An FBI agent who has been absolutely destroyed, smeared, and pilloried by President Donald Trump was sharply criticized in a new Justice Department report, and he has been escorted out of the FBI building as a disciplinary process is now going to play out. I'm talking about Peter Strzok, who was removed last August from the Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian contacts with the Trump campaign. This was the guy whose text messages were uncovered. They were anti-Trump text messages that he exchanged with an FBI attorney named Lisa Page. And indeed, he has been reassigned to the FBI's Human Resources Division and has since been escorted out. This is going to be played up by the Trumpists as vindication that the entire investigation is bogus and a witch hunt, when of course it's not. This is actually a guy who was involved way back when, who has since not been involved, and whose participation in this investigation, when you consider the size and scope of it, is almost completely insignificant. You're not going to see trumped up bogus charges brought forward as a result of this guy exchanging anti-Trump text messages with Lisa Page. You're just not. And the idea that this proves any kind of broader wrongdoing is laughable, but you know that that's what they're going to claim.
In reality, it proves the opposite, right? That this whole FBI investigation is credible. Because
as soon as they found out, they got the guy
Robert
off.
Mueller found out about these text messages, these
Yeah.
exchanges, and he did the right thing immediately. Didn't even question it for a second, because it's better to just get this guy out.
Absolutely.
It's not going to look good if the public finds out about it, which they did eventually, but Mueller did the right thing.
It's what the Trump administration should be doing, right? The Trump administration goes out of its way to defend people whose actions don't warrant or even deserve a defense. People that should be immediately told to resign stick around. Scott Pruitt should have been gone. A long list of people. Kristen Nielsen should be resigning for her role in this entire child internment fiasco. If the Trump administration took the lead of how quickly and efficiently and correctly the Mueller team dealt with this, we would be much better off as a country.
Have you taken a look at the text message exchanges between Strzok and Page?
I know I did a while ago. I don't remember the exact details, though.
Yeah, I mean, most of it was just flirtatious nonsense, I guess. But Republicans want to hone in on the text from Peter saying that Trump won't be president. We'll stop him before it happens. At least, maybe they think that there would be some like coup at the FBI, the deep state taking over, so that Trump wouldn't be able to get elected.
He might have just meant we're going to vote against him.
We're going to vote against him.
I'm personally going to vote for Hillary.
I think he was also trying to impress Lisa Page, a woman with whom he was having an affair. So that seems like the more reasonable explanation to me.
Yeah, and it is Trump's razor tells us that usually the most accurate explanation is the dumbest one when it comes to actions by the Trump administration. But I think Occam's razor actually applies when it comes to Peter Strzok, which is no, he wasn't involved in some super secret overlord cabal that was going to forcefully remove Trump from power or manipulate election results. It was probably a combination of flirtatious hubris and just his personal desire to vote for someone other than Donald Trump, and that's it.
Yeah, and apparently Peter Strzok is willing to testify before Congress. You can't say the same thing about a lot of these Trump officials who are getting in trouble now.
Yeah.
If they are going to testify before Congress, they want to make sure it's behind closed doors, no cameras, no nothing.
The transparency that we're actually seeing around this Peter Strzok issue from Strzok himself and from the Mueller team exceeds by orders of magnitude the transparency that we are actually seeing from the Trump administration about what the hell happened during the election. Study after study has found that partisan beliefs and bias shape what we believe is factually true. This is something that's been studied for a very long time. Great behavioral economists like Daniel Kahneman have studied exactly this type of phenomena for decades. When you have a particular set of beliefs and you're presented with confirmatory data, you are much more likely to believe that data to be reliable and accurate than if you are presented with contradictory data, which can actually further ingrain you in your beliefs, even if the contradictory data is accurate. There's a new study from the Pew Research Center which takes a sort of step back and asks how good Americans are at evaluating the accuracy of a factual statement versus an opinion statement. and whether they are more likely to be biased in that opinion based on their pre-existing beliefs. And here, the important thing is, how are we defining a fact versus an opinion? What Pew meant by a fact is that something could be proven or disproven by evidence. All of the factual statements that were used in the study were true to try to keep the results more consistent, but respondents didn't know that. As far as respondents knew, the factual statements could have been true, they might have not been. Contrast that with opinion statements, which are based on the values and beliefs of the speaker. You can't prove or disprove an opinion statement in the way that Pew formulated the opinion statements. And the study asked people to identify a statement as a fact, whether or not you think it's accurate, or an opinion, whether or not you agree with it. And what it found was that if participants were presented with a fact that they agreed with, they were much more likely to say, this is a fact. Whereas if they were presented with something that was a fact that they did not believe, they were much more likely to say, this is an opinion.
Yeah, and as Stephen Colbert once said, reality has a well-known liberal bias. I think this study shows that. One problem might be with this methodology that it seems like the facts tend to have a little bit of a left-wing skew to them.
Do you mean reality, for example?
They are reality,
Yeah.
but I think it's important maybe to mix up the questions, some favorable to conservatives, some favorable to liberals.
Okay.
Like, let me read a few of them. One is, President Barack Obama was born in the United States. Obviously, that's more of a liberal-minded question, right? Because they're the ones who are going to admit to that. Immigrants who are in the U.S. illegally have some rights under the Constitution. Also a little bit more liberally slanted.
But
One
it's
more,
not an
healthcare
opinion
costs
question.
per person are in the U.S. are higher than in any other country in the developed world. It's not an opinion question, but they do seem liberally slanted in a sense. Does that not matter?
I don't know.
Should they mix it up?
I mean, the problem is when you start cherry picking which facts, the idea was merely to evaluate whether people are more or less likely to identify a fact as a fact if they disagree with it. So this also looked at answers from Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and all groups, regardless of whether the question was a question that is meant to appeal more to liberals or Democrats based on the subject matter, all groups were more likely to identify facts they agree with as facts, whether they were Democrats or Republicans. It's accounted for sort of in the results. So I don't know that it's that relevant in this case.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I agree with you. I just think it's important to keep our control groups as steady as possible, right?
Yeah.
And make sure there's no built-in biases. And if there are, maybe add some questions that are a little bit more favorable to the right wing, just so we have a sense of if everyone lines up their opinions with the reality.
I get what you're saying. I think that they were correct to divide the answers by political orientation, and that sort of undoes that element of bias. That's my sense of it. Ted Cruz and Jimmy Kimmel played a game of basketball for charity. And I have some actually really strong feelings about something that sounds really insignificant and meaningless. I'm going to just first play for you a little bit of the video from this one-on-one basketball game that they played.
See, this is a good lesson for you and those kids in that detention center.
What about all the kids Obama detained?
Yeah, if there weren't any, you should have done something about that, too.
Unfortunately, all that talk can't get Jimmy Kimmel a bucket. He needs a bucket. Still can't get one to fall. Cruz knocks down a
Yeah, all right, that's good.
jump shot. So Cruz goes up 2-zip.
So anyway, clearly I think Ted Cruz the better basketball player, but I have some real problems with this thing that they did. It's great to raise money for charity. Whatever, right? It's all fine, well, and good. I don't like the idea that Ted Cruz was put in this position when he's doing absolutely despicable things politically, although it's true that he is one of the earlier Republicans to actually seem to want to put together some kind of solution to the child internment camp situation. I just don't like that he's kind of being humanized in this way, and it becomes fun and games, but yet they still discuss politics during it, right? I would have liked to see it just be basketball if that's what they want to do for charity. But the fact that such serious political issues were sort of in a clever or funny way, offhandedly discussed during the thing, I just didn't like it. I thought it humanized horrible beliefs from Ted Cruz.
Well, the political trash talking was pretty awkward. You never really saw that from Kobe Bryant or Paul Pierce back in the day.
Well, we don't know. They weren't mic'd up during the games, but
yeah, I can't imagine they're talking politics. But you could argue too that Jimmy Kimmel started it because he tweeted out a picture comparing Ted Cruz's appearance to a blobfish.
Right, but that's not political.
Yeah, but then Ted Cruz challenged him to a basketball game, and he won by 2. Apparently, he is the superior basketball player, although it was pretty pathetic to watch both of them. They're not really in shape or good at basketball.
Do you like this type of thing in general?
Yeah, as long as you keep the trash talking out of it.
Oh,
like,
really?
I liked watching Justin Trudeau box a political rival of his in the Canadian Parliament, and that was pretty entertaining to me.
Yeah. I don't mind the concept. I actually do think that these types of things are interesting, and I'm all about raising money for charity. But something about the way in which politics was mixed with the game, something about it just rubbed me the wrong way, and I have a hard time really putting a finger on exactly what it was.
Obviously, I side with Jimmy Kimmel on politics and just, being a good person over Ted Cruz. But I thought Jimmy Kimmel was delivering some low blows, particularly because his family was there after the game ended. He said to Ted Cruz's daughters, well, you got to see your dad win something, which is pretty funny, but, you're saying it to the kids.
That's the statement I approve of the most, actually. That's pretty clever.
Apparently, you got to watch out for that Ted Cruz hook shot.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at that one.
That'll get you. And even when he was closely defended, he still knocked down a couple of jumpers. But Ted Cruz is still one of the most extreme and deplorable ideological conservatives in the Senate, and he should be voted out as soon as humanly possible, which apparently will be November. That's as soon as it's possible to vote him out. We don't know if he will be, but please vote against Ted Cruz.
Think you could beat Ted Cruz at a basketball game?
I think I could. I don't know. I think I could beat him. I'm not great at basketball, and he's probably taller than me, would be my guess. But I think I probably could beat Ted Cruz at basketball.
They were pretty winded after the first couple of possessions. Yeah. I don't think I would have much of a problem against Ted Cruz.
I would try to use speed against Cruz more than anything else. That would be mine, kind of wear him, because he did seem to tire pretty quickly.
I'm also 6'2" and half his age, so I think I would win.
Yeah, that could be. Let's see if we can set that up. That would be
a good fundraiser for Patreon and membership.
I think so. Start tweeting to Ted Cruz that he should face off against producer Pat in a one-on-one basketball game. Thanks to all of our members and patrons. Appreciate your support. We will have a brand new bonus show for you tomorrow.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.